Hey, Rolling 20 fans, this is G, and I'm here to tell you today about a new sponsor for our show, Casey's Irish Pub. This is an honest-to-God, Boston or Chicago-style Irish pub located in downtown Los Angeles. They serve cooked food, 11 kinds of beer, and 49 different Irish whiskeys from 3 different distilleries. What does that mean? That means if you're looking for a good drink during a Los Angeles convention, you don't have to go far. If you're headed to Los Angeles for E3, Kamikaze, Anime Expo, the Los Angeles Car Show, or one of the hundreds of events happening near the Staples Center, then a good meal and a glass of Guinness is just a short walk away. Jeremy, the loud guy who won't shut up when we do our own podcast, he actually ate there during the last Anime Expo. And he said this. Forgive me if I don't sound like the guy. I went to Casey's Pub looking for a place to bring people for a good night of food and found it when I was driving people on my way back to the Los Angeles Convention Center. We went back and I had the best steak pot pie in my life down there. My wife had a good whiskey to sip, and 8 of us had fun talking and eating in a place that looked like it belonged in a movie. Casey's just a couple of blocks from the Westin Bonaventure. That means it's close to one of Anime Expo's own shuttle stops. We're even hosting a photo shoot there during the 2014 Anime Expo. If you want more details on that, email us at mspfreight@yahoo.com. Hey, so do yourself a favor. And don't stock up on bad beer and try to mix something sitting at the desk of your hotel room. Ride the elevator, get off at the Bonaventure, and walk to Casey's Irish Pub to get some drinks by their bartenders. Make some new memories and have some fun. We want to see you there.
Everybody, this is Anthony Beyond from Mission Talk Podcast, and I am live from Long Beach because I'm going to another big convention in a couple of days. But anyways, enough about that. With me tonight, we have a star-studded cast of the crew who covered Anime Expo. Starting from left to right.
Yeah, who's that?
Left to right, I'm going to start off with Alexander is with us tonight.
Yo.
So is Jeremy. Brendan as well.
Hello.
And rounding out the crew is Ren.
What's up?
So, gentlemen, we've all been through Anime Expo this past weekend. We've experienced, we cried, we sweat, we did all the emotional things that we could possibly think of. But, yeah, guys, I mean, it happened. Where to start is the real question. I think I know where. So Jeremy and Brandon, you guys were there on Thursday, correct?
Yeah. Yes, I was.
So, now, can you tell me exactly what happened at on Thursday at Anime Expo? Because usually Thursday for most people who go to cons are usually the days they go in early, get their badge, get whatever they need before the entire convention starts. But something.
Well, that's a very, very nice theory, all in all, but that's not quite what happened on day 0. What registration was supposed to open at 3:00, which I understand it did. However, it broke 20 minutes in. And when I say it broke, I mean nobody was registering. Not attendees, not premium members, not industry, not exhibitors, not press. Nobody. And it stopped working for somewhere around an hour. I am not entirely sure because from 4 to 5, I left to go take care of something at the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
I came back at about I came back at about 5:15, and the people that were in front of me had only moved up like 15 spots.
Yes. So the thing about it is what I noticed. I think like a day before, or like if they put out like a message on their Facebook, Anime Expo was saying that their registration system is going to be down for a bit, like prior or like a few hours, or I'm not sure how much time they gave, but they gave a warning, but it was a bit too late when it happened, and the registration line was not only long, but people were waiting for hours. Brandon, you were in line for a while. How long did you wait in line for before you started just
I got in line roughly about 2 o'clock after me and Jeremy was doing some handing out of water bottles. Um, and I stood in line until 6 o'clock, and then I bailed. I saw the line moving occasionally after about 2.5 hours, and then I saw that people were moving. They were bringing in premier fans, and my line has not moved an inch. I was standing in the exact same spot I got into. I was tired. I was aggravated. I was hungry. So I decided I'm gone, and I left.
You forgot that you were glowing.
And yes, and I had a huge bad sunburn in my neck that was irritating me, and I just said I'm out of here.
right? Yeah, it was definitely I'm sure you're not alone in that. I've seen many people who complained about that, and it was definitely a problem that I mean, given they gave a warning, but at the same time, like it's still something you'd want to try to avoid.
I'd
I mean,
like to think that if
Well,
you're going to have 2/3 of your line out in the sun, a warning is not really sufficient.
I know. Yeah.
Okay.
yes.
So
In addition to that, there was more issues than just what I mentioned. There was no bathrooms open. There was no accessible water available except for water bottles that they occasionally, maybe every 2 or 3 hours, to walk by through a cart full at people, then left. There was no place to really, unless you actually got shade. You were stuck in the sun. That's basically it, and that just cannot happen. I mean, even they had, how you usually have vendors that are selling food. Okay, you know how you occasionally had vendors walking by you? None walked by me the entire time I was sitting there.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, they started
I,
actually enforcing that rule about commerce on the grounds of the LACC. They were allowed to sell from the sidewalks, but nowhere on the ground. So it made it. If you were by yourself, you couldn't step out of line to go get anything.
Yeah, definitely. Like
yeah,
so let me jump in real quick.
that, that was
I
disappointing.
wasn't I wasn't involved in it. I wasn't there for day zero. But I've talked to a lot of people who were there, and I talked to some of the staffers who were there as well. I mean, let's be honest. Computers go down. We can't really fault them for computers going down. It happens. They brought them up as quick as they could. From what I heard, they were actually doing registration by hand to just try and get people moving. Should they have planned better? Definitely. They should have had tents and water already prepared just in case. I mean, it's a hot day out, period. End of discussion. I will give them credit for one thing, though. They kept the staff there until every single person who had got there before 6 p.m. Got registered. So if you stayed in the line, you were registered that day.
definitely. Um.
Um, One thing I got mentioned though is that they mentioned that they had tents out. I did not see a single tent.
Oh, right. I
They
remember
didn't
hearing.
appear till day 2, supposedly.
Yeah. I mean, I remember hearing about that, and yeah, it's. I mean, you have
So
to.
from what I saw is they had a couple of tents out and they're kind of just spaced wherever,
Mhm.
but there wasn't like a line of tents like I would have imagined you should have it under a giant line.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, it was a rough start for sure for Anime Expo, and it was definitely not the best foot forward going through the next couple of days. Um, but eventually they did figure it out. You know, regrettably, if they sacrificed a few things here and there. Um, but aside from that, so we move on to day one. The convention finally starts. So I probably have to say the first thing that I want to point out is like this entire weekend, like it, there were at times like the convention felt really packed. Um, Obviously because it's the biggest attended convention in the U.S. Um, but at times like it felt like it made me question even be at the con for a bit to go back to the hotel room and wait till the crowd dies down. At any given point when you guys were there this past weekend, did it feel too crowded at times, or did it feel like that it was enough room for you to move around without being able to hit somebody else?
Oh hell no! From word go, there wasn't enough room to get much of anything done. Elbow room was almost impossible to come by. The whole weekend kind of boiled down in one solid moment for me walking around on day one up in the food court. Along the wall, they had ATMs. Four people were sitting right in front of an ATM playing cards halfway into the walking lane.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah, man. There were lines for almost everything, man. It kind of felt like
But that wasn't a line. That was just people sitting around in front of a device where you need moderate security to use, and they're just playing cards. There's nothing even open yet.
okay, I see.
There's got to be other places to exist.
Right, I see what you're saying. Wow.
Well, that sure is quite the crowded problem.
Yeah, it was definitely crowded. The As far as like when I was walking around, like there'll be at times during the day or during the night, like it would be enough room to you to walk around and to worry about as much. But at other times, like you have to like in some places the convention wasn't AC enough. So not only are you in this crowded area, but like you're also sweating at the same time, and it's not everybody's miserable at that point. Um, it was definitely something that it's it happens, and we just had to deal with it regrettably. Did it feel the same way for you guys as well?
I honestly didn't understand the question.
No, I'm asking like the others. Like,
I mean,
go
I
ahead.
guess I'll answer first.
Did it feel crowded?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought
definitely.
this was. I'll let you go first.
Oh, me? All right. Well, yeah, especially I noticed like there was particular crowding in the exhibit hall, especially after the hours of 4 p.m. because that's when they start opening the area up for the general public. You just go in there for free, and areas that were near the main panel rooms in the West Hall were definitely crowded, and crowd control became a bit chaotic, especially for larger and more anticipated panels like the Sailor Moon panel, where people are just trying to get from one end of the convention center to another, and they're just being stalked by security for just because they're just confused about where people are trying to go.
But let's be honest. There was no crowd control. There was people at well sit down where
Oh,
they wanted,
that
go
that
where
is
they
not
wanted.
entirely true. Wait, well, let me stop you one moment. That is not entirely true. They had crowd control, but that crowd control was them making sure everybody who had tickets to ticketed events was going to be able to get there. They would
yeah,
literally
that's
shut down
true.
giant portions of the floor to make sure that they could get those people there.
That's
So there was
Yes,
crowd control, just not in the
yes,
way it
but
should have been
that is
handled.
for
Yeah,
yeah.
will
it
it
was
needed
poor. It was insufficient.
it needed crowd control. There was none.
Yeah.
Dealers Hall inside the main lobby of the South Hall, between the grams between South and West Hall, there was no crowd control where there needed to be. That's the problem.
Yeah, there
Uh,
really wasn't.
and
I would
I
say the
just
South Hall lobby in particular really needed it because that's really an area where just people just congregate and go about their own thing, really.
well,
But
yeah,
as
I
well
agree,
as
but
the rest of the areas, yeah.
the actual walkways where people are actually walking, okay, need some sort of crowd control when there's that amount of people. Literally, I was sitting in the press room or looking down at the dealer's room. I saw no carpet on day one in the morning. Literally no carpet. That's how many people was in that room, and it was just chaotic. And it got even worse the next couple of days, especially after 4.
Oh, definitely. Like the Saturday when that happened, like there was this. If there was ever a day where like could be the most crowded, it'd be that day. I didn't even go near the exhibit hall on that day just because I knew of like the amount of people that can be there. Um, but speaking of panels, that Ren was talking about, was there any panel that you guys particularly went out and checked out this past weekend? And I know some of us did check out some stuff. Can't talk tonight. Damn it. Great for podcasting. No, like a lot of us did go check out on some panels. Any particular ones that kind of stood out to you this past weekend?
Most of what I did was events and such. I honestly don't think I sat down at any straightforward panels most of the weekend.
Yeah, I didn't sit down at a single panel. If you saw me, it was probably me running from or to a shoot.
Gotcha. Um,
I'm guessing only me and Anthony did actual panels. I only attended one of them.
Oh, I went.
where did you go check out, Rin?
Well, I did go to a couple as well. No, I went to a couple myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, which panels stood out to you this past weekend out of the panels you checked out? Rin, you can go first.
Wait, let me go first.
Yeah.
One of the panels that really stuck out, I would say, was the Nitro Plus and Good Smile Company panel at the evening of day 1.
Oh, how was the Good Smell panel? Because I put written
I'm
down.
interested in that too.
Yeah, it definitely pretty much was full house, and because people like Nitro Plus is really well known for a lot of works like Malika Magica, Steins Gate, and more recently Dramatico Murder. But that aside, yeah, it was definitely very crowded. We're to a point where they, how should I say this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely delayed with like some difficulties going on a bit, but during the panel itself, there wasn't too many technical difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say it was definitely very popular and very anticipated amongst the crowd that night.
Yeah, I really wanted to go to that panel just because, like when I saw that panel and looked at the company, it's like, wow, I've never been to a panel that a company that makes figures would what exactly what they talk about. So that was
Well,
very intriguing to me.
to be fair here, it was more about what Nitro Plus did than what Good Smile Company does. It's more of a tie-in where it's like, okay, here's Nitro Plus. We made all these different games and anime and stuff like that. And then here's Good Smile. Then there just happens to be Good Smile Company's CEO there, just going, oh yeah, I like the franchises that this company made so much that I just had to, or that we at Good Smile just had to make figures based off of those characters.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So it was a tie-in. It wasn't necessarily Good Small Company talking about the figurines they're working on, but just a tie-in.
Yeah,
Else.
I believe last year's AX had more of a Good Smile Company centric panel, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Huh. All right. That's interesting. I would have liked to see the actual company talk about their figures and just kind of go from there. That would have been interesting for sure.
Also, on another quick note about that particular panel, the Metropus, this year's panel,
Mm-hmm.
was that for some reason at the beginning of the panel, I don't know was this misinterpreted. I have a good feeling it was, but they told everyone that press members cannot take pictures of the event, but regular members can.
That's odd. Wow.
Yeah, I have a very good feeling that it must have been misinterpreted
it, mu-
by
it,
from.
it must have been. That's that's
That's
odd.
weird.
Yeah, that's very weird. I mean,
It could be that they mistranslated from they would ask press not to post the images. They can take pictures, but not like post them as like press. It could be that, but I could also be mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That just seems
maybe.
like seems
Open
weird that they
question.
say, okay, no media can take pictures, but everyone else can.
Everyone
It's
knows
weird to me.
Cowboy. Okay, that's interesting.
That's weird. Huh. We'll get to the whole press thing and behind the scenes thing later on in the podcast, but uh yeah, definitely I was the panel I wanted written down to go to, but at the time I didn't have the time to go check it out.
Yeah, yeah.
Um
It was on day one, so it's pretty. It might be inconvenient for.
yeah. Brendan, what particular panel stood out to you out of the panels you checked out?
I wanted to also check out the Good Smile Company, but now that I hear that it wasn't necessarily about the figures, I'm not too disappointed. Um, the panel I did go to, and the only panel I did go to, is the Kenji Inafune panel,
Yes.
creator of Mega Man.
It's the god of
Um,
Mega Man.
yes, yes. That thing was packed to the brim. LP1 was literally there was no more room in there. It was utterly full.
Really
Which I'm
good
not
LP.
surprised about.
Mhm.
He did mention a couple of things. Like the news has said, he announced that they are releasing a anime based on Mighty Number Nine, um, and they are looking for rich investors to kickstart it.
That's a
Um,
little weird to me. Like, I mean, I can understand like the game being kickstarted because this is something he wanted to do. But then to go on and say like, oh, we're making an anime on the series, well, we would like a Kickstarter for that too as well. It's like, well, the game hasn't come out yet, so how do we?
well, the way he said it was that he believed prior to Mighty Number Nine there was no such thing as kickstarting like crowdfunding type of of things in Japan. That no one was doing it. After the successful Mighty Number Nine Kickstarter, a lot of Japanese companies got interested in doing it as an alternate way.
Uh,
So that's what the anime company is looking to do. And they're looking for private investors that will actually invest into making the anime. He also said that he wants to do not only a game, he wants to actually make it a big franchise like Mega Man was. Anime figures. Goes go all like, any venue he can, movies, TV shows, whatever. If people are interested in seeing it, he'll do it. He also said though, which I think is really good. He was talking about the history of Mega Man, how at the very beginning of developing it, they made it really, really hard because they kept wanting to make it harder for themselves as they were testing it. The game was so hard, the marketing team told them to tone it down, and they toned it down, and when they released it people still thought it was hard. So what they're doing is that says that they said when we release it, they'll release it to the point where they could beat it, and that's what they're going to release it as,
okay, I see. So
which
okay.
I thought was pretty cool. And they said okay, is everyone fine with that? And everyone's like yeah, and it's like okay, we hold it now. And, don't blame me if it's too hard.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, for years the Mega Man games had been pretty damn hard. When they were coming out with Capcom. Or even just the ones in the Mega Man 9 and 10 that were fan developed. Which were the classic Mega Man One style, but
Yeah.
in the same sense of like not only the art style but difficulty as well. So I was like, wow. But that's good to
Yeah,
hear.
Mega Man 1 was a lot harder prior before they're going to release it. And they're taking that. Basically, what they said was Mighty Number Nine is what Mega Man would have been if it was going to be released today.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
That's his vision. That's his basically his vision of what Mighty Number Nine is going to be.
Did they show any new footage of Mighty Number Nine?
They did show a little bit of footage of the game as they were discussing uh, um um a little bit about the Kickstarter and everything. They showed additional footage of some scenes with Beck and beckon the other character. I can't remember her
Oh,
name.
yeah, I forgot her name too, but basically just roll.
Yeah. So they were showing some of the abilities and everything. The first video they did show was the animation trailer, which can be also found on their website and on YouTube. Um, they also mentioned that they are working on they showed a plushie of the actual Kickstarter reward,
Mhm.
one of the Kickstarter rewards, and actually showed a finished prototype of the actual Kickstarter, like the plushie that they have.
Nice.
Um, and they also talked about some other things that I can't remember off the top of my head.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, they talked about how how successful the Kickstarter was, and to the point where they want to add additional features. So they're gonna start a new Kickstarter.
Right.
So they also started a new Kickstarter, and anyone who also kickstarts a new Kickstarter will get the game pre-release by the end of the year.
Oh shit! I need to talk about
So
that now.
if you want to play the game prior to the actual official release 2015 and be able to provide feedback, you will be able to provide that feedback. I believe it will be the beta, and anyone who kickstarted it in the first one will have the alpha.
Uh,
But they're going to do a Steam a Steam Steam what's it called
green light.
I can't remember what they call it. Not a green light. It's gonna be like a pre-release basically. I can't remember what they call it, top of my head. But yeah, they've talked about a lot of stuff, and half of it I can't remember. But that's the main points that I remember off the top of my head.
Gotcha. Wow. Yeah. Oh man, it's really cool. Man, I'm really excited for Mighty Number Nine. I can't wait for it to come out. And
Yeah,
Kate,
I'm going to basically when they release the alpha, because I kickstarted it.
Mhm.
When they release the alpha, I'm definitely going to be playing it.
Nice. I'm jealous. I should help. I should hop on it for the beta for sure. Um,
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's open right now. You can kickstart it right now, the new one.
Oh, okay. And I will
Yeah,
definitely.
let's go on the Kickstarter.com page and go to the updates, and you'll find the links to the PayPal, so you can put into it.
Cool. Awesome. Um, as far as for me, as far as the panels that I checked out, I went to. Out of the panels I went to, and I went to a lot. Some of them I've written down were kind of meh. Some of them were okay. I think the one that stood out to me, and I would say two of them actually. One of them, real quickly, is called Super Art Fight Art Showdown, and I've heard about it, but I never really checked it out. And basically, what it was you have two artists. You're given they have like a giant sheet of this paper on the wall, and what they have to do is they have a topic they first start off with, and then they'll like draw whatever that topic is. But the entire time while you're drawing, this is with Marco by the way. The other artist can go to your drawing and like mess it up, in his own way. So say you're drawing a robot, like the other artist can come over and like draw legs on it now. So then you have to just keep going. You can't scribble it out. You gotta keep working at it. So it's a really interesting dynamic between like two artists literally fighting with art. And every 5 minutes they would change topics on the big screen. They would have this wheel that would go in and they'll go with different topics, and some of them were really ridiculous. One of them that was very funny was awkward Batman in high school, one of them had to draw that, and the other one had to draw like Harry Potter like taking a shower, and it was awesome. It was great. It was really cool. And when they went for 3 rounds, and they people enjoyed it. There's music playing. It was really cool. It was a very interesting take on that type of art. It was almost like they were doing graffiti, but fighting each other at the same time. It was really cool. The
That
other,
sounds very interesting.
yeah, definitely, and to just plug it in, you can check out the video on our YouTube channel. It's up already. Um, but the other panel I did go and cover. And okay, so I covered this panel of anime, and it was a lot of fun. It was great. But this panel at Anime Expo, like the word unexpected, I think describes the entire panel. And I'm talking about the cosplay, wrestling, panel, the Wrestling Federation panel that they were doing this year at Anime Expo. And the entire time, in my mind, I had figured what the panel was gonna be since anime, but I was thrown off by like what exactly happened during that panel. And for those who don't know, or those who haven't seen it yet, basically the panel is just smack talking to each other. You have like five, six wrestlers. There's no wrestling involved. It has elements of a wrestling match, um, but it's more or less smack talking and just getting the crowd on your side. Um, it was crazy. It was probably like the craziest panel I've been in. That like it was literally pretty insane. Like at one point, like Booker T just came out of nowhere, just on stage, like unannounced. Apparently, like some of the stuff that said on stage was just hilarious. I was cracking up so hard. And just like other things in general that were just like I thought initially was supposed to happen, didn't. And it was crazy. It was nuts. To me, that was like probably one of the what other panels that stood to my mind during Anime Expo. um, yeah, 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 definitely. So that's for me when it comes to panels. The other thing I want to ask you guys is about the cosplays. And cosplays for many who go to AX is usually one of the best you see around. Or people who come through from freaking Europe or whoever come down, photographers or whatnot, just to take photos of these awesome cosplays at Anime Expo. Alex, you were running around the field taking photos. Any particular cosplayer that stood out to you when you were taking photos, or a group per se?
Um, there was a couple. A lot of the cosplayers, unfortunately, they didn't have a card or something like that, so I wasn't able to get their names. But there was a couple that I met for the first time. I was scheduling for the first time ever actual shoots at Anime Expo, and I met a couple people that way that were really cool. A lot of Attack on Titan cosplays wanted photo shoots. It's kind of weird.
Interesting.
I don't know. I mean, it wasn't nearly as big as it was last year. Last year it was basically Attack on Anime Expo. It was insane.
Yeah.
But some of the guys last year had some really great cosplays too. This year seemed a lot more to be Kill la Kill.
Oh yeah.
In general.
Yeah.
There was a lot of Kill la Kill running around.
Oh,
actually, let me rephrase. There was a lot of Nudist Beach running around. It wasn't even so much Kill la Kill. It was Nudist Beach specifically.
Yep. I saw a lot of shirtless men this weekend, and other people as well.
Well, you see that anyway.
That's true too. Actually, you're right.
What else? League of Legends was big again. This year, Riot Games actually had their own booth, which is a first for them. From what I can gather from the people I know at Riot, they've actually stayed away from Anime Expo because it's not a video game convention, which makes sense. But they this year at least decided to have a booth present. So they had some kind of presence there at the convention itself. It was a lot smaller than what they had at, say, PAX East, but they had something there. The gathering was actually split into 2 days. There was that many people.
Yeah, I saw that. There were the League of Legends cosplay gatherings are so huge. Like, I mean, yes, they had to split it into 2 days. Otherwise, like if they had on one day, it would be ridiculously just huge.
Well, to give you an idea of just how big the League of Legends cosplay community is, there's a Facebook page for League of Legends cosplayers that I'm lucky enough to be part of as a photographer. There is 4,857 people in that community alone, and that's a worldwide community.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of cosplayers.
Yes. Not to mention that.
And a lot of them were there at Anime Expo.
Yeah, and not to mention that League of Legends, arguably right now, is one of the more popular MOBAs, and just recently, I think
One of the more popular? You mean the most popular?
that's true. And,
What are those are in competition with it?
well, I mean, there is Dota 2.
No. Dota 2 only got popular because of their prize pool right this moment. And we're getting way off
Yeah,
topic here.
gotcha. But yeah, definitely. Like, I'm always amazed at the League of Legends cosplayers, just because the amount of detail and work that they put into their cosplays are ridiculous. It's astonishing to say the least. Like, it's really cool to see. Um, but what else was there? Anything else that stood out to you this past weekend as far as like any particular cosplay?
I think the coolest thing was the photo shoot we did at Casey's Pub.
Ah,
Honestly,
yes.
that's probably the biggest thing that stood out to me. That was something totally different to me. I've never shot on a location like that before,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a blast.
Wow.
I actually was just talking to one of the cosplayers that just happened to be there, and we took photos with her and her friend. Abby Normal Cosplay is her Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give her a shout out because she's actually in contact with me still.
Oh.
She was super cool. She did a Marceline cosplay, and we shot Marceline inside of a pub.
Nice.
I mean, I've never seen anybody do that before, so it was definitely unique and definitely a really cool experience for me.
Wow. Yeah, for those who don't know, we had a photo shoot at the pub for cosplayers to come and check out. And Jeremy, can you shed some light on as far as like how that experience was for you as well at this past weekend?
I expected to be a little more free than I was, even with the amount of people that showed up. I was kind of running crazy trying to get details right while Alexander was busy working.
Mm-hmm.
I was setting up glasses, foreign things, making sure that the candles were lit, and certain things were out of the way while he was busy. So I ended up doing a lot of art direction and monkey work.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Hey, I need my monkey.
Yeah, it from the sounds of things, it was really cool. I only wish if I had time or that time area to go check it out as well. But again, I'll take this time real quickly to thank those who did show up. Cool, awesome, thanks guys. But yeah, like it sounds like you guys had a blast, and I'm glad Alex that you experienced that. Something very different than what you used to, for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, for the most part, I usually do, just hallway shots.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to actually take a bunch of cosplayers to a certain location,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think any photographer who does any kind of photography, it doesn't even have to be cosplay, will tell you that that's probably one of the coolest things, being able to set them up in an environment and have it kind of having whatever you're shooting tailored to that.
Mm-hmm.
It was even kind of cool during the shoot because the staff there kept asking us if we needed anything. People who were in the bar for the World Cup games kept poking their head in, curious as to why the curtain was closed and what the hell was going on back there. And as the cosplayers were leaving, a couple of people even asked, "What are you doing here? What's going on? Can we take your picture?"
That's awesome. That's really cool. What for Brennan and Ren, what any particular cosplay that stood to you guys when you were there this past weekend?
Say that again.
No, for Brendan and Ren, like any particular cosplays that stood out to you guys this past weekend?
I did see a Deadpool in a like kitchen outfit, which I thought was pretty funny. I saw a very huge full-size Chopple from One Piece,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm like, wow. Let's see, what else did I see? I bumped into a woman dressed up as Deadpool, and when I apologized, she looked at me straight in the face with a mask on and says, "I forgive your sin. Would you like the smell of my banana?" I'm like,
Oh,
no, thank
boy.
you.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
that is one thing I forgot. One of my friends, her two of her friends actually, I'm calling them the Ghibli girls. They
Uh-huh.
were dressed up as characters from Princess Mononoke, Kiki's Delivery Service, and Howl's Moving Castle. That was a really fun photo shoot too.
How
But
awesome.
they looked
those were my
adorable.
roommates.
Oh, those are
They, oh, those are your roommates?
Yes, they spent half the weekend
Oh.
building those.
Oh, small world.
That was a lot of fun. They were just adorable. I've never really seen anybody, especially Princess Mononoke. I've never seen anybody really do a Princess Mononoke,
Mm.
like full on, like they're walking around pretty much barefoot. They pretty much what the cosplayer did was they sewed socks out of cloth.
Oh wow, that's really
It
cool.
was kind of funny.
Wow, that's really cool. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, like it basically looks like they just wrapped rags around their feet.
Wow, that's awesome.
So that was a lot of fun.
That's cool. Was there anything else, Brendan, you saw that one that kind of stood out to you cosplay wise?
So what was that?
No, I'm asking Brendan. Was there anything else that stood out to you cosplay wise? When you were at AX? Brendan, he's away. Okay.
Wait, my,
Apparently that's a
don't mute it.
no.
I I did not see anything particular, but I have to mention that this year I haven't seen that many cosplayers this year in comparison to previous years, which I'm really surprised about. The amount of in comparison to the amount of people was there was very low ratio.
Interesting.
Yeah, I can't speak on exactly how it was the previous years because like the last time I was at AS like in '09 I believe or even '10 or 11. But like yeah, like I heard that too as well from other people, and there weren't that many cosplayers as there were in
Yeah.
previous years. And whether it be from too crowded or the heat or the combination of the two or whatnot.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Uh,
Like, I remember last year being cooler.
okay, it may play a big part of it, and for a lot of us who wear cosplays that are like in full gear or covered head to toe, I can imagine just wearing something. Well, actually, I did. Where like you're sweating your ass off. Just when in your cosplay for it's great. It's like you.
To be honest, cosplayers will go way out of the way to stay in their costume.
I know.
They're troopers.
We try. Yeah.
Yeah,
We try
definitely.
our hardest.
I know the feeling. On I believe day 2 of Anime Expo, I was wearing my Zangetsu cosplay, and for those who haven't seen it, it's just basically like the giant like sailor suit or the kimu, and I was wearing that all day, and I was getting a lot of photos. Don't get me wrong, but like I was sweating my ass off the entire time. I swore I lost 5 pounds that day. Um, Red, was there any particular cosplays that stood out to you this past weekend?
Ooh, let me see. I was surprised, or not surprised, but I did see these. There were a lot of people who were cosplaying as various mechas.
Mhm.
Some, unfortunately, I couldn't get pictures of them because they all seemed to be in a rush or something like that.
Mhm.
Like there were 3 people that were doing Evangelion units 0, 2, I think there was a unit 1 of Awesome as well. I might be wrong.
Mhm.
There's also Gundam Heavy Arms from Mobile Suit Gundam Wing.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that? It's like I saw that cosplayer walking in I was walking in the aisle, I was walking out of the convention center, and people when the minute they saw that they were like wanting to take his picture so badly, but then like security's like let him get in the building first, and then you can take as many as you can. It was already drawing a crowd before you even get set foot into the convention center.
There's actually this one interesting thing I saw where it was someone who was obviously cosplaying as Ikari Shinji from Evangelion,
Mhm.
but he or she was wearing the head of Eva Union 1.
Ha! Hilarious.
Yeah, I was thinking about Anime Expo as Tennessee in that particular convention versus other California anime cons is people doing more intricate cosplays that involve armor or being full out mechs with that.
Yeah, definitely. Like I've seen a lot more armor cosplays this past weekend than I would normally see at any other
Like that,
convention.
right? Yeah.
It's definitely cool though. I really appreciate people who do armor cosplays because it looks cool. It just looks damn cool. um,
Damn sure.
Definitely. For me, there was a lot of cosplays that I really liked, enjoyed. I think there were, I want to say, like, just real quickly, like, one or two that stood out to me this past weekend. And it only because, like, it hits me in the childhood. Um, I saw this couple, this elderly couple cosplaying from, Courage the Cowardly Dog. And there was this old woman dressed up as Muriel with a Courage plushie. And then he had the other guy who played cosplaying as Eustace had the actual full on mask that he would wear in the show, that big green and kind of like cool looking mask he would wear. It was an actual size, and he was wearing that around. I was like, oh my god, so fucking awesome! And yeah, I was really cool. I was really cool. I was really impressed by that. Um, but yeah, like there was a lot of cosplays I saw were pretty awesome. I think that if anything that stood out to me other than that was like Ren said, just a lot of armor cosplays that I just was in awe at the entire weekend. Just the sheer amount of it. It was really cool for sure. Um, the other thing I wanted to touch base on is that the exhibit hall this past weekend. I believe, as I recall, it's still the same size as last year. I don't think they changed it, but they did put more exhibitors in there, and some of them were pretty big names too that I was kind of surprised they were there, like Arches Game, like Hulu, like Riot Games. Um, who else was there? Bandai Namco. There was a lot. There were some big ones in there. And then the rest were pretty much your figure companies, your T-shirt companies, and everything else in between. Um, what do you guys think? Like, do you think that the space you use in the exhibit hall for more exhibitors was a good thing, or was it a bad thing?
It was a
Well,
shit
I,
thing.
I I think it's a double-edged sword, honestly. It's a good thing. I mean, it's more things to do, more things to see, more people, coming showing interest in Anime Expo. But think about some of those names you just called out: Hulu, Riot Games, and don't get me wrong, I love Riot Games, but Riot Games is a big one. What are they doing at an anime convention?
Um,
Like, I know
Well,
Hulu
Hulu
has some anime on there, but
Well,
they're not
Hulu
really.
was bought by, I believe, Viz, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, but Hulu basically was, I don't know, I wouldn't say a sponsor, but they do have a lot of anime on Hulu. When it comes to a lot of the other companies, I mean, some of them may or may not should have been there, because some of them had a huge booths for
Well,
absolute no reason.
I don't think ACT has much of a vetting process regarding who they let in the door. There was one booth dedicated to a Tribble seller. There was a couple of booths that seemed to be doing nothing but corsets. There was a couple of booths doing nothing but steampunk. While these things are very sci-fi and nerdy oriented, they're not necessarily anime, which the Anime Expo has made very clear in the SPJ mission statement. What their purpose is supposed to be. Let alone, there's the fact that it seems about a quarter of the South Hall was completely dark and unused.
yeah, that was also something that I noticed too.
To,
It was.
to be fair on this stuff,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
oh, wait, continue.
No, go ahead.
No, all right. To be fair on this idea of Anime Expo being a anime convention, and that there are these companies that may or that are not necessarily anime related, having large presences there. It's the fact that the fact that we have a small number of comic book and sci-fi conventions compared to anime conventions is what motivating these companies to try and look into using what are supposed to be anime conventions as another outlet to get out to their customer base.
Right. I see what you're saying.
And
I see.
it's also this is also a debate in terms of the cosplay world as well. It's like, oh, why are we seeing these cosplayers from cartoons and comics and video games and sci-fi TV series at anime conventions? Well, because let's face it, there's not that many as many of those conventions compared to anime conventions these days.
I see what you're.
I would disagree. I go to more comic conventions than anime conventions.
I see what you're saying though. Like as far as like how like expanding not only anime but also comic book books and video games and everything else, and how it is somewhat related uh, to an anime convention as an exhibitor hall. They would want to fix a booth. Um, I definitely get what you're getting at. But at the same time, there are some things that doesn't quite fit to what Anime Expo is sometimes. With some booths. Not to say that hey, more variety is not great, but at the same time, there's got to be a definition or some sort of like who exactly can get in, and nah, I don't know.
Well, according to the website for the people who run Anime Expo, there is a definition. There's a set of criteria that are the people who are allowed in.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on, from what I can tell, is it's going the same way as San Diego Comic Con. San Diego Comic Con is no longer a comic book convention. It's no longer oriented towards that. It is an entertainment industry convention.
Yep,
So
actually, a good point.
it's literally lost its way. It's literally lost its way because you go in there. What are the things that you see right away? You see Sci-Fi Channel. You see all these big names. You see Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers has a huge booth all the time. Same with Sci-Fi. Sci-Fi usually takes up a good section of the hall, actually. And it's usually about 4 rows deep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a huge booth.
Definitely.
And then we have your comic guys who are just kind of shoved over into the corner and like, oh yeah, by the way, we have comics over there.
Definitely. It's funny when you mention that. That's actually that does make sense. Now that I think about it, the way the Anime Expo is going with their exhibit hall and who they're bringing in, and how the convention is run, it makes total sense. It is starting to feel like it is going toward that route for sure. And it was funny because like when I was there in the exhibit hall, it felt like people who covered E3 and kind of the companies that were there as well. Some of them did went over to Anime Expo as well for their exhibit hall. So it definitely does give that vibe. Yeah, wow. It's funny you mentioned that. Did not think about it. It makes sense.
To be honest, it's been like that for a couple of years now.
Mm.
This is
Yeah.
nothing new.
That's true.
It
It
really
has
is,
been like
yeah.
that for a couple years, but it's getting more obvious.
It's more, yeah, it's getting more prominent. Being more obvious, but it's
Like, if
been
you're-
going that way. I could see it for a couple
Like, if
years.
you're gonna have people who aren't related to the specific industry you are saying that you are going to have the convention for, let them have a little booth. I mean, sure, fine. Like, just any random booth you would normally see, that let them have one like that. Don't give them these big ass booths where they're taking up a good section of the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Maybe let's be frank here. Maybe let's be frank. Let's be frank. Money speaks.
It does. Yeah.
no, it's true. Money does speak, but if you're gonna try and project a certain view of what you represent and what you are going to bring to the table, you need to actually stand up, be a man, and do that. And instead of just going like, "Oh, you've got money," instead of saying you've got money, actually,
I was going to say money doesn't speak, but it definitely seems to get act management to sit up and bark.
yeah.
Well, see, that's the thing about the SPJ in particular, especially in more recent years, in that it seems that all they really want to do is just continue to make money.
Yeah.
Well,
To the point where
that's
to the point where they're actually upsetting fans and whatnot.
Yeah, that's a conversation for another day though, because there's all kinds of crap going in there that
I was gonna say we could spend like the next hour and a half talking about that. I've got details that should not be discussed, but
I just want to bring it up very quickly. All right.
It's cool.
Just pointing things out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, it's definitely we can talk about it for another day. But yeah, like our thoughts, as far as like exhibit hall is, I think we can all agree that um, it
Overcrowded, poorly
yeah
run, poorly laid out.
yeah pretty much all the cool shit to buy and some free swag, but not
Yeah.
not enough to
Speaking of free swag, all the first day, all you see are people was running from booth to booth trying to get all the free swag.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Well, that's
definitely.
usually
It
what
was
day one is.
Yep.
ridiculously hard to walk through.
um
Everyone would do that
A lot of
every
day
day.
But
one is running around for free swag because they want to get it before it's out.
that's
yeah,
true, that's very true.
the thing, another thing about the dealers hall is I noticed is that it was so packed. Literally, you could not stop at a single for more than like 30 seconds without getting pushed around. People trying to get past you or trying to get to the booth.
Yeah,
That's the major problem I had.
yeah, definitely. Like,
No, that was very apparent.
yeah, definitely. Like, it was hard. Like when I was in there, kind of looking around, just kind of window shopping. It was kind of hard to stay in one place before somebody bumped into me. Um, like, yeah, it was definitely that feeling. But yeah. Moving on to the other part of the room. So okay, I wasn't sure where exactly at first where they put the video game sections at, and I was like kind of figuring out like where the hell did they put them at because they weren't in the usual place. That I last time I went there, and then like I stumbled upon the entertainment hall, and then I looked up and it was like, oh shit,
Hmm.
they placed it in a very big room or in a very big area, which back in the day where registration used to be. Um, and majority of the space was taken up for card games, for arcade games, for console games. Every game you can think of was there. And Sega even had a booth there for the Miku game they were showing off there. Um, One of the cool things that they added this year that I thought was a cool idea, but quickly turned to kind of not the greatest idea in the world. Was they had a backdrop like backgrounds like how can I describe it? Like they literally had like
They had photo backdrops.
yeah
Yeah.
of like different.
Those have actually been there since last year. Just letting you know.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
They just added a few different ones for this year.
Okay, I didn't know that. But it was new to me this year for sure. But it was the first time I saw this. Like, wow, this idea is great. Like, this is awesome. And then as days go by, like people were waiting in line literally to get a picture to get their picture taken in the backdrop. And then I was
But
like,
that's because a lot of the gatherings were pushed around outside and they didn't have many other places to go.
yeah, definitely. So it's a cool idea, but at the same time, like when I started to see that the lines for literally for a background to be taken a picture of, it felt like, huh, well, this okay, this is like, yeah, I didn't quite work out as much as I thought hopefully
I
would.
would say one thing about the cosplay secting.
Mhm.
Like I spoke to several lines for the different sects this time around.
Mhm.
None could have ever been as bad as say the Evangelion / Macross Frontier sect that this one guy brought in for the con last year. That became ridiculous quick.
Yeah. Wow. Um. And in the back of the entertainment hall was the cosplay repair station sponsored by Riot, and back there was cool. That place was like they have materials and whatnot for people to prepare their costumes. They even had like even little fitting rooms if you wanted to try something out or change or whatnot. And the people can sit around and chill for a bit while they were there. That part was cool. I enjoyed that. Just for the fact that if you needed a place to kind of just relax for a bit or just kind of chill, that was a good place to do it. But overall, I mean, the entertainment hall was pretty cool. I liked it. They used the space pretty well, and Yeah.
I I did have an issue with the fact that they broke down the PC games really before day 4 really started.
Did they have PC games
They were
like up prior?
the Alienware stuff was the Alien stuff where the PC game section was all packed up by about 12:30.
Oh wow. Huh. Was there a reason why they packed it up, or was it just not?
I got the feeling they just felt like it. I mean, the computers were busy since they were set up on day 2, and they were definitely busy when I was sitting there on day 3. Day 4, they just started packing in the morning.
Interesting.
It could have been time restrictions for on their end, more than anything else. It may not have anything to do with what went on. I'm assuming that they just didn't have time to stay there the entire day. I don't know.
That's weird. Interesting. Um, but
I guess they also kind of assumed that day 4 would not see much attendance to begin with, so it might have not been worth their time. I don't know.
I think you have more faith in the staff's disposition than I do. I tend to think that they do a lot of things for expedience on their part than for any type of other purpose.
right, definitely. For Jeremy and Alex, like, if you, I wonder. Anyway, I kind of talked tonight. God damn it. um, for when did you guys happen to check out the entertainment hall as far as like the backdrops? Like, in your opinion, like, what do you think of the idea of it?
Personally, I walked through them.
Mm.
I like some of them. They're like kind of cool, but at the same time, it really limits, in my opinion at least, what you can actually do with the cosplayer. Because if I take a cosplayer that I'm going to do a shoot with back there, I'm stuck with exactly what's there. If I say go out to some stairs, I can now pose them all over the stairs. I can go pose at the top, at the bottom. I can move myself above or below them. Hell, I can go hang off the freaking railing and get just this crazy angle if I want to.
Hmm.
So while the backdrops are cool and they can be a very good idea for certain setups and certain cosplays, I feel that they limit too much for a generic use.
I'm with Alexander on that. Some of them were lacking some basics, including just a convincing flooring of some sort. The children's bedroom had a concrete floor underneath, and I don't know any child that's treated like that outside of a homeless shelter.
Yeah, things like that I would have to like go in and, well, any photographer can do this, but I would have to go in and Photoshop in carpet underneath it, which means I have to find carpet that looks right if I put it in there, and it just becomes this ugly mess.
Yeah. I mean, some of the ones were more useful than others. I mean, the Gothic area could have looked better with a background that didn't look like it was trying to be panoramic. The forest was actually pretty good. The ball pit I didn't quite understand. I saw more teenage guys just kind of sitting in it than I saw anybody else taking pictures in it.
Yep.
Rooftop was a
Go ahead.
decent idea with bad execution. The only thing I could really add to that is, they could have really saved some money if they had just bought a basic set of bleachers and put them up for a few people to stand around inside.
Yeah, they could have been great. Um, it was funny like when I saw pictures of the ball pit, I didn't even know there was a ball pit in there. I was like, what?
Right?
I was like, if there was a ball pit, I would have gone in. um, man, I was kind of bummed, like, oh, but okay, good input for sure.
I mean, I guess that's some people think, so,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, and like Jeremy said, the forest was cool, but in my opinion, it wasn't good enough. It was too easy to see, like, past through the trees and see all the people just kind of milling around or just random stuff that showed you weren't actually out in a forest.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So
I mean, they tried.
I suppose the word that most of those photo backdrops was lacking was real depth. You could tell that you were just sitting in a box.
Definitely.
the depth costs money.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, God, well, at least they tried.
Yeah. They tried.
I don't know, like I definitely give them credit for trying it. It's definitely a cool idea. It just needs somebody to sit down with an actual photographer and go like, okay, what should we do for this?
For sure. Speaking of cosplays and backdrops, the gatherings they have an Anime Expo, and this is something that I really appreciate. at gatherings is that they're pretty fast and efficient when it comes to okay, this group goes up, everybody takes a picture. Okay, next group goes up. Um, obviously depending on the size, but usually when it's like a pretty average size, about anywhere between 50 to maybe a couple hundred. Usually it's done pretty quickly. You can go about your day. I was at the MOP gathering on the last day, and that was started at 12 and ended at 12:30. I was like, oh wow, cool, awesome. I can go and do other stuff now.
Did you just admit to being at the My Little Pony gallery or gathering?
Yes,
Yes, he did.
yes I did.
And he recorded it too.
I got pictures.
Which is
I saw.
Guys, any see me after the podcast? I want to see your man card.
whoa.
To be fair, I saw this guy dressed up as Fluttershy, but like he was in a yellow muscle t-shirt, and this dude was ripped as hell. I have to show you a picture, but he was just like massive, just like gun.
No, thank you.
It was crazy. Um, but yeah, like what gatherings did you guys go check out? If you checked out some.
I tried to do a lot, but it was kind of hard to get to a lot of them. Naruto, the second Kill la Kill gathering on day 3, Final Fantasy,
Mhm.
there's a few others I tried to get. I saw the Marvel DC one too, and there were several others I tried to get to that either moved unexpectedly, canceled unexpectedly, or just really fizzled out.
Mhm. Right. I hear you. Ren, did you check out any gatherings when you were AX Express weekend?
I
Uh,
did. Oh, Ren. Yeah, Ren.
sorry, can you make it for me, right?
Yeah.
Alright, okay. Yeah, I used to go to large ones before, like Vocaloid, but this year I decided to check out smaller ones. The ones I went to this time around were for Card Fight Vanguard, because I'm into card games and I like anime, and my friends were in, so I thought why not check it out.
Mhm.
It was among a gathering of like about, I think it was around 10 people, 10 cosplayers of this series.
Mhm.
And then there was another small one on the same day, later that evening. It was on Love Live.
How
It
how,
was something that I recently.
how was that?
Oh, that was definitely a fun one. I would say that much. It was much different than the larger gatherings that I'm used to going to for bigger franchises like Vocaloid or Pokemon and whatnot.
Okay. Um.
Like it was not just simply like a simple like organized like okay let's have X and Y and Z go up and get the votes taken and so on. It was like more I guess it was more interaction. It was actually more mingling and you know like what a gathering was. What I think a gathering should be more about
Right.
fans mingling about. It's like discussing and
Mhm.
being enthusiastic and happy about what they're cosplaying instead of just okay, we're just here switch in and out to get photos taken
Okay.
in an orderly manner.
That's
So that's what I feel some Lord Trackers have ended up becoming.
that's cool. I mean, it's pretty cool. Definitely. Um. Yeah. There's a lot of guys I went to as well this past weekend. Took some photos. Um. They were all pretty much the same to me. I mean, like they didn't really nothing particular that stood out. But I did have fun. The only thing that I didn't like, I mean, you can't blame them for it, but like the gathering to be outside, like in the blazing heat, and like for the photographers, yeah, you're fine. You can be in the shade, but like for the cosplayers, like
Yeah.
That's a good joke. Yeah, good joke.
I'm talking about like in some gatherings, not all.
I
Like it was
have
like
yet
some
to
place
see the
like in the
gathering
stairs
where a photographer
outside.
can actually. No, I have yet to see a gathering where a photographer can actually be in the shade and get a half decent shot.
Right. Good point. Good point. But overall, I had fun with the gatherings. They're pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
Was there any gatherings you checked out, Alex? I know you said you checked out the League of Legends, but was there any other gatherings that you checked out as well?
No, I made a small appearance at both the League of Legends gatherings. As a photographer, I avoid gatherings. They are terrible for pictures, honestly, because what it comes down to is some wide-angle shot where you can't really see a whole lot of anything. You just kind of like, look, people.
Hmm.
You can't really catch any real details, and even if you do zoom in close, you kind of have all these other people kind of in the frame as well, and it just becomes a mess.
Good point. Good point. Actually, I didn't think of that.
So,
Although
yeah.
gatherings is a good place to actually just see who's there and maybe pick one or two out and say, hey, can I take a couple of your pictures separately from everyone else? Kind of thing. After
That
it's
is
all.
true, to a degree. Like for example, League of Legends. There's so many people there. It's almost impossible to snag somebody and actually go off to do a photo shoot. If you do manage it, you're only going to get one person. So it's one of those things. If you're going to go to a gathering and that's what your plan is, you have to be 100% sure that you're not going to regret not taking someone else.
Good, good point.
Sure.
Good point. I didn't think of it that way. That's a very good one, actually. Okay. The only things I can think of about the convention that it was left was the Brave and the Lounge 21. The Lounge 21, for people who don't know, was a room dedicated for people who are, like it's as the title says, 21 and over. To go in there and chill, have a drink. There was music, like in the playing in the background, either be very chill or like very, dance centric. The only weird thing about it was that it was on Sunday night. One of the voice actors, special guests that were there, was hosting the panel in the Lounge 21 room. It felt kind of out of place because it was a place for people to have a drink, mingle, and talk. And there were people that were there that were paying attention, but at the same time, it just felt kind of out of place having this sort of panel happening at the same time as people kind of talking amongst themselves, and not really paying attention sometimes. There were some people, but not really. But I enjoyed my time there. I went there for 2 nights, and it was pretty. I liked it. It was pretty good. And aside from that, though, like I did not step 1 foot into the rave, but my understanding, the rave was not even owned by AX, but by somebody else.
Yeah, I can
I
get into that one
believe
for you
I
if you
believe
want.
these types of gadgets are not exactly owned by. They're using off the stereotype of the convention itself to begin with.
Right. It was something that I didn't know about. Alec, you have a lot more knowledge about it than I do, but just to
Yeah.
kind of lightly go about it, like exactly why was the rave happening there that was not quote unquote owned by AX?
Okay, so the quick and dirty of it is that those of you who have actually gone to the raves before, or any of the, or a couple of the conventions in Southern California, have probably heard of the AX Dance Idols. The AX Dance Idols are a subcontractor that AX has hired to put on raves and to have go-go dancers at their event. They also go to other events such as last year, not this year, but the year before, they went to Anime Kanji in San Diego as a way to promote Anime Expo. So what happens is that Anime Expo staff does not have any say in what is going on at a dance because it's run by a completely separate entity.
hmm Yeah, and this was something that was brought to my attention when I was at Anime Expo, which is, you know, it's weird to really think about because normally I want to say 90% of the conventions out there have and run their own rave, but this is one of the first I've heard about a somebody outside of a convention doing it for them and under their own terms.
Well, considering this organization is not too unusual. Anime Expo hasn't even really run the entirety of itself since 2011 or 12.
Hmm.
They've had to share with an event service that they owed major money to, and I think they only recently came out from underneath them. So, and they were subletting registration processes before that to a third-party company. So it's not that unusual for this organization.
Right, right. Okay. Interesting. Interesting to hear. Um, but as I said before, I didn't really step into that rave. But I've heard there's a lot of people who were complaining about what was going on in the rave. And the problem was that they couldn't really complain to AX because they don't own it. So yeah.
Is this the
Yeah,
reason why they weren't letting water in and they weren't giving any out?
Yeah.
yeah. So what was happening was, I guess I don't know. I didn't try to attend, but from what I can gather, it was a paid event. So people were paying money to go into the dance, which already kind of throws up red flags for me. But
Yeah.
there was a line to get in and out of to go into the dance. So once you got in, you could have fun, do your thing, and usually there's water provided. This year they did not provide water of any kind until the very last dance, and I think that's only because they were forced to, and it was given to them, so they were giving it out for free. But from what the research is, some people.
Mhm.
Where'd he go?
Yeah. Alex, are you alive? Hello.
Looks like he just went up. Oh,
Oh. Right. Oh, he disconnected. Oh, or he's trying to get back.
whoops.
Teleported.
There he is.
Wah. It's okay. I can edit this out.
Check, he found the checkpoint.
Papa Booey, Papa Booey. Howard Stern's penis.
He goes, "Oh God," in the chat.
Lost connection.
And
Snap.
lost connection. Yeah, we are quite aware of that.
Left us on
Now
a
I'm just gonna go back to its last save point.
left us on a
Mark
cliffhanger.
Perez has found us. Quick, run.
Oh shit! The Illuminati. Oh no, they found us out. Gotta cheese it.
Like the Illuminati.
Um. I'm just keep singing so it comes back. I might put this in the pre-show just because it's funny. And he's been dropped. I'm gonna try and get him back in.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I lost connection.
No, that's cool.
I
I was filling up the space with some music, so go ahead. You can continue.
Okay. So if you left the dance, you had to get back in line, and that would take another 10 minutes.
Mhm.
If you decided to, hey, I don't want to leave the dance, I'd like to have something to drink because I'm going to overheat and possibly have dehydration and die, try and bring a water bottle in, they would turn you away and they would not allow you they would not allow you into the event.
Oh,
That's great.
So this became a big issue. It was posted about online in a couple of different places. And maybe it was just bad timing too because of what happened on day 0. But people were pointing the finger at day 0 and then saying, "See, if it happened there and it happens here, it's always going to happen." And it's kind of become this big thing.
I see. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's not good. There's nothing. There's nothing good out of that. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad I didn't go to the rave then. If
And I did notice one thing too, because I'm fairly active on Facebook and I kind of stalk these types of things because I'm always kind of curious how they're going to turn out. Somebody actually went ahead and contacted the AX Dance Idols page directly, and their response is pretty much, "If you don't like it, don't attend."
wow.
So it was basically a big
Seriously?
F you. Yeah, I can probably find it again, but it was basically, if you don't like how this situation was handled, don't bother coming.
Wow.
Not changing
That's-
anything.
nice customer
That
service.
is. Yeah, that's a shit attitude to
That
take
is a
when
reason.
when not going is, or going and not going is pretty much how this event makes the entirety of its budget.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and
that's
it was
the reason to boycott the
specifically.
dance.
Well, yeah, that was a specific thing about the dance itself, not about the issue that Anime Expo itself had with registration. It was, if you don't like the fact that we weren't providing water at the dance, well, screw off and don't come.
I realize that. It's just some people come to Anime Expo for the dance, so they can dance with other people within their fandom. And if it's going to be that much of a pain in the ass, then they just may decide not to go.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
just wanted to make sure it's clear that it was only that portion.
Wow. It's sad to hear. Like I stated, like other conventions I've been to, they have their own dance, and they did provide water, and people usually go there to have fun. And,
Can I bring up one other item that really got my goat all weekend?
sure, go ahead.
And I mean, it literally stole the goat out of my pen. The guidebook app.
Yeah.
I hated the abuse of the guidebook app.
Yeah.
The fact that they would update it with little to no notice, and if you weren't checking it every 15 minutes, it's somehow your fault that you didn't know that everything had moved around.
Yeah, definitely. The problem was that the schedule kept changing on the fly the entire weekend, and some panels were canceled, some were changed to a different time or to a different room, and by default, people, the staff would say, check the guidebook app, and it was frustrating to say the least, especially for press. It was very frustrating because there are things that we planned ahead of time, and having things change on the fly is not something we want to have.
Ridiculous.
Well, I was reading the ACT forums as we were talking. There is a complaint post that has 100 posts since the convention started. One of them was by a lady who flew in from out of state, and one of the primary reasons she went to go was the replay concert on day 4.
Mm-hmm.
She had picked up the schedule, figured out when it was closing, and planned her flight accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
Because ACT decided the day of, apparently, to add a 30-minute intermission to it, which extended it to 5:30, she could literally only attend about half the show because she had to rush to the airport to pick up her plane.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, these schedule changes just kind of messed with everybody. I can also mention the Sailor Moon 90s panel, which apparently had no moderator attached to it and started late.
Yeah, there's something I noticed too with some of the panels. It's like some of the panels and events, they started later than usual, or were late in general.
Yeah.
And
It's the fact that they, like all the people that come out the previous panel, take a while, and they're trying to do like last minute Q&A with the panelists, and that delays everyone.
but it's
Yeah,
like, sorry, go ahead.
That's only part of the issue. I mean, if the organization isn't properly running the panels, then it's all effed up anyway. It's like the signature event with the Kill la Kill actresses. The Anime Expo staffer who responded in the complaint actually said something akin to blame the voice actresses for being too friendly and trying to chat with people.
I see. I mean, like, yeah, there's plenty of blame to go around. And actually in Germany, you experienced this for several years. And this is my first time actually experiencing as press for. Well, I take that back. This is the first time we're all as press this time around for Anime Expo, but like this is the first hand I actually experienced what's going on behind the scenes. Just in general, like I agree to what Jeremy's saying when it comes to the staff is they felt like they didn't know as much, or they weren't as well informed when it comes to certain things, or where things were at, or as far as like what's going on within the convention.
Well, you remember when we tried to get to the Cosplay Wrestling Federation event, they led us to 3 different locations, and we only found the answers because we happened to be walking from the instructions of the 4th person and came across the organizer himself in the hallway.
Definitely. Yeah, it was really bad. It wasn't. Yeah, it was really awful. Like as far as like I mean, the staff were nice. Don't get me wrong, but they were just not as, I guess, trained or as well as informed as far as like how to handle certain situations or why this was happening.
I would say they weren't very well trained at all. One of the staffers who was there in the aftermath of the Kill la Kill signing told somebody who was upset, "My only job is to keep you guys in line so there isn't an effing riot."
Okay. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, there does seem to be a serious lack of people skills to some degree.
Definitely. Wow. But like that's pretty much all I can think of Anime Expo as far as like how it is. before we round out our final thoughts, I will say that for as much grief as we are giving Anime Expo, I did have some fun at the convention. I mean, I hang with some friends. I love the Killer Kill event. I think it's one of my favorite things to ever experience in my life, especially that concert. Um, and there was some stuff that I really enjoyed attending and checking out. But at the same time, there are a lot of things that hindered it. That the experience for me was not the greatest. And like I said, it's a case by case basis. Everybody, some people may like it, some people may not. But in my opinion, for a guy who's been attending for conventions for a long time, to me, it felt underwhelming to me coming back after last several years. But yeah, final thoughts, guys, on Anime Expo. And I will start with you, Alex, because your internet's on the fritz.
Yeah, it's not behaving itself right now. Final thoughts. They need to actually bring the dance within their internal organization so they can actually put some reins on it. Number one. Number two, they need to prepare for the issue of LineCon 2015 because nobody wants to see people burned to a cinder who are going to be cosplaying the next day in something that shows off a fair amount of skin.
hmm Okay. Jeremy. Woohoo!
I was hoping when the guest list was finally out and announced that things would turn around and this would be the new era where Anime Expo started to figure out what it's where it was headed and how to please both the industry and fans. And from the sound of it, it sounds like they haven't figured out how to please either of those groups. It was disappointing to have the fan gatherings, which became kind of a staple of the convention over the last 10 years, turned into a sideshow by the organization shoving lines in every conceivable place where these gatherings usually take place. Dealers Hall is the dealers hall in the building in general is way overcrowded, and it's really sad considering they didn't use all of the building. Uh, if they keep saying they want more people every year, they're going to have to figure out how to plan ahead of more people instead of reacting to the prior year's numbers, because that's no way to run a railroad.
Agreed. Agreed. Brendan.
Similar, my similar complaints was the registration line, the guests. My main thing is bands. No battle bands this year, no actual proper bands this year. I mentioned it in a previous podcast that it just there was no bands, no guests I actually would like to see. Yes, the is objective for who you want to see, but there there should be a variety. You know, you have your singers, you have your artists, you have your voice actors. For English voice actors, you have your bands. But I mean, it seems like they're only going towards one direction, and that's the sinews and production staff really. That's my main complaint. Um, Other than that, they just need to get their crowd control dealt with.
Agreed. Agreed. And last but not least, Ren. Who? Okay, so not but not least, yeah, I'm here. Last but not least, Ren. Ren.
Well, yeah. I'd like to say this. They, any experience just needs to look back at the past and see what things they've done right, what is actually, um, I think you see what they've done right and try to replicate that for future years. I think. Like there were times where I mean like my experience with AX may not be as much as some of you here, but I wouldn't. But I know that in the past AX has done certain things correctly, and they were obviously disregarded that for this year's event. But I will also follow up on what Jeremy said, and they do also need to look into other possibilities that might come about with an ever-growing attendance rate for the event. and try to adapt for future events using both what they know of their past events and how to prepare for the worst for future events. Yeah, so I always really like that. I always really like AX where you get to just step up their game.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me for tonight's podcast on Anime Expo. You guys did some good work this past weekend, and it was, it was a lot of fun, but again, a lot of work.
We were standing in an easy bake oven for 5 days.
Before we end the podcast, Alex, where can I find you on the internet?
Yo, you can find me on Facebook at Capture Photography. It's literally capture and aperture smashed together.
Mm-hmm.
You can also find my work on our site on Mission Start Podcast underneath the convention photos.
Cool. Jeremy, where can they find you on the internet?
They can find me in a special registry for people who've just gotten out of jail. No.
Make
You
it
can find me.
Bitch.
You can find me most weeks doing a podcast called The Rolling 20s, usually based around comic books. Our focus might be shifting a bit in the near future. Is our virtual roundtable of nerd discussions. I write the occasional article for MSP as well as reviewing most of the conventions I go to. I'm also on cosplay.com under the screen handle Freight. I'm on the Anime Expo forums under Outlaw Deus, and I'm on the Otaku social network under Rhino Otaku.
Cool. Awesome. Brendan, where can they find you on the internet?
A lot of places actually. I post majority of my photography on DeviantArt under the handle NightAR. They can also find my Twitter at twitter.com/NightAR. But yeah, that's pretty much all I do really.
I need to follow you on Twitter now. now that I know you have Twitter, I must follow you.
Oh no, I gotta hide.
You follow her. Yes.
And where can they find you on the internet, Ren?
Or you can find me on a Facebook page. It's facebook.com/AzurinDunois. If not, there also I occasionally will post things also on DeviantArt under simply Ring du Noir. Also have find me under American Cosplay Paradise under the same name, and World Cosplay under the handle Azurin.
Cool.
And of course, my work will be featured on the website in terms of photography and art reviews of conventions and such.
Awesome. You can follow me on Twitter at Naruto. You can follow the work that I do as well as everybody else here on our website at nationstarpodcast.com. Please do check out our YouTube channel right now, which is at youtube.com/nationstarpodcast1. Majority of the panels from this past weekend are being uploaded, and they are in the works of getting everything done pretty soon. But expect a lot of AX coverages this entire week, including reports, photos, videos. But also be on the lookout this upcoming weekend. I will be going to Vegas on Thursday and covering Evo. First time going, excited to go, and make sure to keep a look on our Instagram as well for all the coverage coming from there. Anyways, thanks again, guys, and with that, we'll see you guys next time.